Welcome to the Progressive Vibe. I am your host, Dodrick King. Today is October 24th, 2021. This is Season 5, Episode 8. And this title for this episode is called Political Eye Candy. In today's show, we will have a conversation about the importance of not allowing ourselves to get caught up in more in the drama aspect that surrounds our politics today than the actual solutions that benefit ordinary people's lives. So we will check out an article produced by The Hill that's titled Pelosi Open to Scrapping Key Components in Spending Package. So the reason I'm equating it to the title is because that's what's going on in Congress right now. And honestly, it should have said Joe Biden's open to scraping his own agenda, because that's basically what he's doing. And it's a whole host of things that we're going to get into why, in my mind, that he's killing his own agenda right now, which is pretty embarrassing. It's pretty pathetic. And again, I'm not here to throw shots at Joe Biden, but I am here to shine a light on the situation at hand because it's concerning to a lot of people. Sorry guys, my mic fell off. All right, I got it. But yeah, as I was saying, it's concerning to a lot of people, and people have questions. And here at the Progressive Vibe, we will continue to shine a light on key matters that are in concern and affects democracy. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to always be, a Republican who's doing this. It can be a Democrat, or it can be both, quite frankly. And that's pretty much what's going on here. But again, we're going to get more into that as the show progresses. But for now, I wanted to give my thank yous to the listeners of the show, the TP Vibe listeners, because if it wasn't for the listeners, there would be no Progressive Vibe. So again, guys, always thank you for liking, for sharing, for donating to the show. However you show love to the show is greatly appreciated. As you know, sharing the Progressive Vibe on social media is the most effective way to get the message out, and it is all totally free. The Progressive Vibe is on all platforms you can listen and get your podcasts. The Progressive Vibe is now on Podchaser. For those who don't know what Podchaser is, it is a platform that empowers podcast discovery for listeners, podcasters, and everyone else. If you want to learn more about Podchaser, go to podchaser.com. That's podchaser.com. Also, the Progressive Vibe is now on Podbean. Podbean is a platform for podcast hosting and monetization. If you are a podcast listener, you can also find your podcast here on that website. If you are a podcaster, this would be a great way to promote your show. To learn more about Podbean, go to their website at podbean.com. That's podbean.com. Now, a quick show plug for our listeners before we get into today's main show. We have coffee mugs. The podcast has a coffee mugs now. I recently received a gift and they were coffee mugs. I'm a big fan of coffee mugs. I don't know how many of you are that listen to the show, but I have to daily have my cup of Joe. No pun intended. But I do like my coffee. I decided to take a picture and put it on social media, and I surprisingly got it surprised me. But listeners of the show asked to see how they could obtain one. And so, honestly, I just took a picture of it because it was super, super cool. They're nice mugs, and I wanted to show it off. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know that people were going to actually want to buy one. So, once we get the price and the shipping information down, we will be, issuing out mugs to people, to the TP Vibe listeners who request for them, and that is just a awesome thing because, as I said in the caption when I posted the mugs online, what's a podcast without a coffee mug? So it's just awesome to see the feedback on it and actually people wanting a coffee mug. That's just so awesome. So I wanted to throw that little plug in there before I get into the routinely plugs. Now for the routinely show plugs. If you have anything you want me to discuss on the podcast, you can follow me on Twitter. That's at Dottie_Vibe, DODI_VIBE. And you can use that hashtag TPVibe, TPVIBE on Twitter to, collaborate with the show. Or you can send a message from the contact form on the show's website. And if you want to do this, you can go to the show's website, The Progressive Vibe 184-970-366.wordpress.com. If you want to stay in touch with the show to get every new episode delivered straight to your inbox when the show's published, you can enter your email address in the stay in touch box on the show's website that I just gave you. Last but not least, if you want to help us make the show and sustain future episodes, you can become a monthly supporter on the show's website. There are 3 tiers, I think, or 3 subscription packages that you can choose from. There's a 99-cent a month. There is a $4.99 a month, and I think there is the $9.99 a month subscription package. All of them are, again, greatly appreciated and well received. However you choose to show support, again, as I said earlier, it is greatly appreciated. You can do that all on the show's website. I'm going to give it to you guys again because it's pretty long. The Progressive Vibe 184-970-366.wordpress.com. If you don't want to do that and you want to just make a one-time contribution, you can do this on the show's Cash App tag, and that is Dottie D92. That's DAHDEE92. And as I said, guys, the coffee mugs are coming. I'm super, super excited. On that note, let's get into today's main show. I will see you after this short break. Hey guys, welcome to the main show. So let's get into this article. I wanted to share with you guys this article from The Hill. Again, it is called Pelosi Open to Scraping Key Components in Spending Package. I wanted to share this with you guys, and then on the other side of the break, we will get into the discussion on equating this article with the title at hand, which is political eye candy. So it reads, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat out of California, said Thursday she's ready to scrap two key components of the House's $3.5 trillion social benefit package, a long-term extension of the child tax credit and a hike in corporate tax rates in order to get the legislation to President Biden's desk. The child tax credit has emerged as a key selling point of the massive social spending bill, which stands at the center of Biden's economic agenda. And the powerful Democrats are pushing to permanently extend an expansion of that credit, which they first adopted in March. Pelosi said she also supports the long term extension, but will accept the shorter 1 year window that Biden proposed earlier in the week, saying that the president is driving the train. Quote, this is from Pelosi. That's what the president has agreed to. Let me say, I want a permanent child tax credit. I've wanted it for years. This is the president's big issue. It is called the Biden child tax credit. So if it's acceptable to him, in light of the bill, it's acceptable to me, end quote. The corporation tax hike has surfaced as another point of internal tension as Democratic leaders race to win unanimous support for the package in both chambers, where razor thin majorities mean they can afford virtually no defections. The House's $3.5 trillion package had increased the rate to 26.5%, up from the current rate 21%. They're talking about the corporate tax rates here, which was adopted by Republicans in 2017. But Senator Kristen Sinema, Democrat out of Arizona, has reportedly come out in opposition to any corporate or individual rate hike, leading Biden to seek alternative sources of revenue to offset the cost of the new spending plans. Pelosi on Thursday amplified earlier promises that the entire package will be deficit neutral, saying the specific funding is currently being crunched by the heads of the Senate Finance and House Ways and Means committees. But echoing Biden, she suggested Democrats will look beyond the corporate tax hike for that new revenue. This is from Pelosi. She says, quote, we had in our House bill, which I was very proud of, an increase in the corporate rate, an increase in the capital gains. It was a very well received proposal because it wasn't punitive. It was fair, but we'll see what survives, what prevails. My preference is to follow the corporate or the cooperation, excuse me, that the Senate and the House come to, end quote. It goes on to say, asked specifically about Sinema's opposition to the tax hike, Pelosi said, her position is well known, end quote. Is it though? Is it well known to you, Pelosi? It goes on to say, across the Capitol, Senate Ron Wyden, Democrat out of Oregon, chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, has been meeting with the House committee chairs in search of new revenue streams. Wyden on Thursday said he's still pressing to include tax hikes on corporations and wealthy Americans, characterizing them as popular reforms that promote, quote, simple fairness, because they do. Um, Wyden said in a quote, I am very much for corporate proposals. And the last little bit of this, guys, it goes on to say the internal policy divisions have persisted even as Biden and Democratic leaders are scrambling to win an agreement before the end of the week. That timeline was promoted by Senator Majority Leader Charles Schumer, Democrat out of New York, and second by Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat out of West Virginia, a centrist who's crucial to negotiations. And Pelosi said that despite the remaining hurdles, they're on track to meet that deadline. In a quote, Pelosi said, and this is the last little bit of this, we've always been on track for doing that. The House has been on schedule. We have a goal. We have a timetable. We have milestones, and we met them all. And this is one of them. And I'm going to post this article, um, along with the show, so you guys can check out this article if you like. But it's so telling. And the last little bit of that, what Pelosi said, is kind of honestly kind of humorous. It's pretty funny because they haven't been on track. Matter of fact, they've been actually pushing the goalpost. But that was the article. When we come back, we have to take a break. We will come back to furtherly discuss um, what this article indicates, and again, how it equates to political eye candy. Because to me, that's what's taking place here is just trying to run out the clock and trying to kick the can down the road and not actually addressing the American people's issues that they face currently today. When we come back, guys, we will have more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, guys, welcome back from the break. So let's break down the article and let's break down why I named this particular episode Political Eye Candy. So, as the article said in the title, it said Pelosi was open to scrapping key components out of the reconciliation bill. Now, we've already addressed what the reconciliation bill had or has in it. But now let's talk about what apparently they're taking out of the bill. And again, what I mean about political eye candy is these things that Biden, President Biden, these were things that were in his agenda. This was things that he was talking about on his campaign trail. These were things that already got consent in March. It is now October going on November. And we're still in negotiations because of what though? What are we negotiating? What are we negotiating? The American people favors child permanent um child tax credit. Americans favor tuition free college. In the proposal, it was 2-year community college, which to me is a bare minimum. But nonetheless, that was something that was a social safety net for the American people to get behind. And they were in support of that. The reconciliation bill had provisions to address climate change. It also had a increase of corporate tax hikes, which to me is very, very appropriate and necessary. But again, all these things now have been apparently in further negotiating. And so when I talk about political eye candy, we can't take our eyes off of the things that the American people want for not corporations, not for the ultra wealthy, but for themselves and for their families, because the middle class, the working class, as I've said before, is the backbone of this country. And if politicians, Democrat or Republicans, want to use the working people as a prop, then it has to get addressed. It has to get addressed. And politicians always do that. They always say the necessary things that people want to hear, regardless of party affiliation. And when it shows, the data shows that Republican, Democratic, Independent are on the same accord, then nothing wants to get done. Things are being stalled, you know, and then it becomes again political theater, which turns into you know, you ever heard of the saying, squirrel? They just want you to look over there so you won't be able to pay attention to the main things that people want to structurally change their lives for the better. And if Biden really wanted to do these things, he would do it. He wouldn't talk about um the parliamentarian would advise them not to do, for example, a $15 minimum wage. You're the president of the United States. This was in your agenda. This is the reason why it was in your agenda, is because the American people wanted it that. They didn't want they didn't vote for Democrats to kowtow to the parliamentarians' advice. The Republicans have ignored the parliamentarians' advice on numerous occasions when they were in power. Didn't nobody say anything then. But now that the progressives want things to go directly to the ordinary American, all of a sudden it becomes an issue. And I'm just perplexed because if you are in the Democratic Party, then you are pro democracy. And I'm not saying that all Republicans are anti democracy, but the past couple of years, the past few years, it's been trending down for them. And it seems like the Democratic Party is following suit to a certain extent, because what? Because there are a lot of corporate politicians, meaning that they're only going to do what their corporate donors allow them to do. And we're becoming more of a society where that's just not going to cut it. And so now it's starting to backfire, because all of these things that were promised, they have to look at it like, oh man, that means I'm going to have to stop taking as much money as I took away from my donors. And that means I'm going to have to go against what my donors are advising me to petition on or vote upon. And it's creating a conflict of interest. So it's not just Pelosi, it's not just Chuck Schumer. We have to look at the current administration in charge, and that is the Biden administration. So let's talk about for let's get more into in depth what is going on here. So as I'm saying about Biden's agenda. Biden campaigned on reversing Trump's former President Trump's tax cuts for the rich, who Biden said that he cared over and beyond about the working middle class people of this country. And and now apparently offering concessions to corporate Democrats like Joe Manchin, senator out of West Virginia. Now, neither Joe Manchin or Senator Kristen Sinema out of Arizona wants to pass the reconciliation bill at its current form, or was at its current form, which was $3.5 trillion. Now, remind you, Joe Manchin earlier this year proposed an even higher amount than $3.5 trillion. Now, $3.5 trillion was the floor. This was the floor. Now, all of a sudden, we're in October, and the bill apparently seems, or it's going in this direction of being watered down. They took a nice amount of popular key provisions out of the bill. That happened. So, as CNN reported, Biden discussed a 1.75 to $1.9 trillion price tag for the spending package for the reconciliation bill. And as it says, while the number is not finalized, it is, and it is way closer to Joe Manchin's number, $1.5 trillion, than the progressive number, which was $3.5 trillion. Now, remind you, the progressives have been in lockstep with Biden's Build Back Better agenda. Everything that President Biden wanted to do, they got behind. Now, progressives wanted it to be more robust, but it's a step in the right direction. And the progressives got behind that. So let's continue to see what else was apparently or is apparently being taken out the bill. No corporate tax hikes. Not anymore. There were corporate tax hikes that were supposed to be inside the reconciliation bill. Not anymore. Biden seems to be willing to avoid increasing tax hikes on the corporation. Now, remind you, when President Trump came into office, the corporate tax rate was 35%. Now, because of his tax cuts for the rich, they were lowered to 21%. Trump was in office talking about how he was going to cut taxes for the middle class. He didn't do that. They were at 35% when Trump was in office, and they got lowered for the rich to 21%. President Biden, who came out and said he was going to reverse those tax cuts, changed course and said instead of going back to the original number, 35%, only made it 28%. Now, apparently, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema didn't want to raise corporate taxes at all. And if you guys, which I know you have, been keeping up with the daily progression with the current state of the current state of um, news as of late regarding the reconciliation bill, they are the only two individuals holding up the reconciliation bill: Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. So again, apparently Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema didn't want to raise any taxes at all. So guess what? Now there are no tax hikes. Apparently, there are no tax hike provisions in the bill at all now, because apparently Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema has the sole power to hold up 48 other members of the Democratic Party who want to pass the reconciliation bill. But Biden is talking about stripping these provisions out, so he must agree with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. Apparently, that's kind of what it's seeming to be right now. No corporate tax hikes. You're dropping the price tag from 3.5 trillion, which was the floor of the spending bill, to suit Joe Manchin's appraise to it, 1.75 to 1.9 trillion. So, what did they decide to cut out of the bill? What did they decide to cut out of the bill? So, they decided to cut the quote unquote how to pay for it method, which was going to be used to support, to fund predominantly the spending bill. So what's being done pretty much is you're cutting the revenue raised to pay for the bill. So again, the question is, what are the things to help Americans that you are leaving out of the bill? Let's break it down. Expanding the social safety net is expected to drop tuition free community college. That's 2 years. Now, that was supposed to be a bare minimum. That was supposed to be a bare minimum. I'm just super annoyed because this was in his own agenda. And now this is not in his agenda. And you wonder why people never trust politicians. You wonder why, you know, people don't like Democrats. Now people don't like Republicans either, obviously. But you wonder why you can't ever ho- hold on to power within the government. It's because of things like this. You build people up and then you tear them down by not actually going by the agenda that you set. We had to take a quick break, guys. When we come back, I'm going to continue to lay out what they are apparently cutting in the spending package bill, and why that is affecting Biden's approval numbers. They've dropped. And you can't just blame this on the progressive wing of the party. You can't blame it on Republicans. You have the sole power in all three branches of government. So you can't be pointing fingers other than at yourselves. But we're going to continue to shine a light on this. When we come back, we're going to break down the rest of the things that they're, again, are apparently cutting out of the bill to help ordinary Americans. We'll be right back, guys, after these messages. Hey, guys, welcome back from the break. So let's continue the discussion. I left off in the last segment talking about how um, the expanding of the social safety net is expecting to drop tuition free college, community college. Um, there is $1.7 trillion in student loan debt that people can't get rid of, um, even if they file for bankruptcy, thanks to Biden's bankruptcy bill. And if you guys didn't or don't know what that bill did, I suggest that you look that up. Simple Google search. And the time that Biden was in Congress, he wasn't running as president, or he wasn't president at the time, but he was in Congress. He helped. I mean, it's his bill. It was the bankruptcy bill, and it had all kind of um, honestly disastrous things that would keep people in debt. And so, in a way, it doesn't really shock me that he didn't want this, or at least that's what he's conveying. But it is sad because you can't just say these things that you're going to have in your agenda and not abide by them. And he knows this, but you know, the elite, it does not affect them. It doesn't affect them like it affects everyday people who, um, again, expects more out of their government and don't get that same energy in return. Um, I think a lot of people forget sometimes that we are taxpayers in this country, and we are the ones who fund the politicians who go to DC and, um, you know, supposedly support their constituents. But you know, it's definitely got away from that. But I'm going to continue on. It also puts American workers in debt for the rest of their lives. um, you know, that's a burden to people. I mean, you always have debt over your head, and it just isn't right. Um, Especially if it's a self-inflicted wound upon the government, not the people. Um, but I do digress on that point. Biden also indicated, this is from CNN. Biden also indicated that the child tax credit, a key Democratic priority, would be extended for one additional year, much shorter than what many in their party wanted. The child tax credit will be means tested, keeping with what Joe Manchin wanted. And this was according to CNN. Um, so apparently Joe Manchin is the president, not Joe Biden. The child tax credit was supposed to lift 50% of children out of poverty who were in poverty. So instead of it being permanent, it will be only for one more year, according to the trend of the new spending package, which is just horrible because we shouldn't have any child poverty in this country at all. But this child tax credit, which was supposed to be permanent, was supposed to lift um, over half of kids out of poverty in this country, which is obviously beneficial. There to be who would want to live in a country where there are starving kids? Um, but it must not be that important to the um, Democratic or Biden administration's agenda, which it once was. But um, it also said Biden indicated to the group that they would reduce the proposed funding for so called home care for the elderly and disabled down to less than $250 billion. Dems had wanted it to keep the funding at $400 billion, according to um, CNN. So again, this bill continues to go in the wrong direction. Doesn't want to help old people. It doesn't want to help kids. It wants to, but it doesn't want to go over and beyond. We have to, in this society, or in this country, we have to means test anything, because we can't provide tuition free college. We can't provide more money to the elderly and disabled, because everything has to be means tested, and we got to make sure it's because of the right reasons, even though those are the right reasons. And we don't want to have people to become, as Joe Manchin said in a recent um response to a reporter, we don't want people becoming too entitled, whatever the hell that means. I mean, this is the same guy who takes over $500,000 a year from dirty coal. And that's probably why he doesn't want things like addressing climate change, which is in the reconciliation bill. It's probably why he doesn't want that in there either, because that's going to take money out of his pockets, because his interests lie not to the people of his state, but for his own personal interest. That's what a lot of these politicians do, like Kristen Sinema. Things within the reconciliation bill that addresses prescription drug prices, to be able to have Medicare uh negotiate lower prescription drug prices. She doesn't want that, because she takes money from pharmaceutical companies, and her interest lies not to her constituents that knocked on doors for her, who campaigned for her. That's why it's people leaving her cabinet. Um, she lied to them, and she's more willing to negotiate with her corporate donors than she is with her own constituents. But see, in these people's eyes, their constituents aren't those grassroots people. They are the people who fund their campaigns. But let's continue to go over the things that they're taking out the bill. Again, it seems like they want to maintain the corporate tax cuts, a system that allows for the most profitable corporations in the country to not pay, or not have to pay, their fair share in taxes, but also sometimes get massive refunds after they filed their taxes. Ordinary Americans can't do that. We don't really get these kinds of tax incentives. But for the corporations, everything goes for them, and not for the people who are on these jobs, who are making these corporations flourish. Um, as CNN reports, Biden also told progressive lawmakers that negotiations are weighing reducing the duration of paid leave benefit outlined in the package for to 4 weeks, down from a proposed 12 weeks. So again, we're negotiating everything down. The floor was 12 weeks for paid leave. Now is now it's 4 weeks. And you know for the richest country in the world, or so claim the richest country in the world, we don't give a damn about our workers. Only thing that we care, when are you going to be back to work? Are you working? Not anything, a mom that's working on one of these jobs, she has a kid, she has to go on paid leave. I mean, that's the bare minimum you can expect out of your job, right? If you're giving your livelihood to this job to help make this uh, or help make that company flourish. You need people to make money for these corporations, and they don't give a damn about that. And it's just like, well, 4 weeks is the best we can give you. And 12 weeks, honestly, is really, really generous. And I 100% condone that because, if a mom's has a child, then, that mom naturally will want to spend um a little bit of time with their newborn. And I don't think 12 weeks is asking for a lot. But apparently it is because it's being negotiated down to 4 weeks. And that's quite, as I said before, sad and pathetic. Um, but the president said that they plan to keep an expansion of the Medicare, which includes hearing, dental, and vision, in line with what progressives want, as CNN stated. Um, how the way it's going, I don't even know if that's going to be in there. You know, if we can't even stick to what was said originally, and again, the progressives were going off of what Biden's agenda was supposed to be or is supposed to be. Of course, if they had their way and if they had the presidency, it would go further than what Biden's agenda is. But they went out on mainstream media and helped promote Biden's own agenda. That, again, the things that I'm reading, you guys, he's seeming to cut into his own agenda. So I'm just really, really curious to see, is that going to actually last in the bill? Because Manchin and Sinema doesn't want those provisions in that bill, because that's going to take away from their financial incentives. Biden also says, according to CNN, he wants to keep universal pre-K and keep the climate provisions in the bill. Well, Manchin personally benefits from dirty coal. As I said before, he makes $500,000 a year. You really think he's going to want those climate provisions in that bill? And finally, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. But there, it seems like they're all emboldened to engage in this bullshit because they have the same corporate donors. They have the same goal. Republican or Democrat, they have the same goal. When I say Republican or Democrat, I mean corporate. The status quo. That's what I mean. So, what are the Democrats' case going to be in 2022 and 2024? Midterm elections is coming up. When they don't offer their constituents much of anything to improve their daily lives, what's the case going to be then? You can't blame this on the progressives. You can't blame this on the Republicans. You can only blame yourselves on that. And time and time again, the Democrats as a whole always shoots themselves in the foot. And at this rate, guys, do you really think that it's by accident? Do you really think these things that Biden is pulling out of his own agenda, do you really think this is by accident? Because if he really wanted to do these things, he could. We can pull him out, but we can pull out these things that helps ordinary Americans' lives, but we can't add on to it. Oh no, 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 it's too much. People will become too entitled then. How are you going to pay for it? But we can pay for these large military budget bills that remind you the taxpayers pay for this. But we can't use our own tax money to help benefit our own lives, our friends around us, our families. And if anybody that has a voice to Biden or anybody that's in his cabinet that's listening to this show, you need to tell him to wake up, stop being scared, have some backbone, have some courage to get your own agenda done. Because that's why your approval rating's dropping. That's why the people have lost confidence in honestly either party. Because what? Because they have the same motives as their donors do, and that's maximizing profits for themselves. And if that's not it, then prove me otherwise. When we come back, guys, we will have the social media break of the show. It was a little bit lengthy today, but I just felt like I had to discuss what the hell's going on with the Democratic Party. Um, and why I emphasize that so much is they have the presidency, they have the House, they have the Senate. If they keep doing what they're doing, they're not going to have any of them. And that's what the Republicans are banking on. We know that they're not going to vote on any type of agenda or any kind of bills that the Democrats want to get through, even if it benefits their own constituents. That's just how divisive we've gotten as a nation, as a country. But when are the Democrats going to wake the hell up and get out of their own way? And I'm speaking to the corporate Democrats. And us as progressives, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just keeping it real with you. It's not looking too good. It's not looking too good. But that doesn't mean that we're not gonna continue to shine light on this and continue to fight on, because we will, especially here at the Progressive Vibe. And I know that the TP Vibe listeners will do the same. When we come back, guys, we'll have the social media break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome to the social media break of the show. I hope you do enjoy this. We're a little bit over time, so we're going to make this kind of quick. This is from Bernie Sanders on Twitter. He says, voters in Arizona and across this country want us to take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry and lower the cost of prescription drugs through Medicare negotiations. Here's a radical idea. We listen to the people and get it done. It says 94% of Arizona voters want Medicare to negotiate drug prices. 91% want to keep pharma from charging U.S. the highest prices. 90% want to close drug prices loopholes. 85% want a cap on seniors RX expenditures. And 84% want a penalty for raising prices faster than inflation. Seems like the Arizona voters know the deal, and they know what's up, and they know that their senator is not serving their needs and don't want these provisions because she takes money from Big Pharma. I'm gonna continue to go on here. Let's see. Bernie Sanders also says on Twitter, let me let you in on a little secret. What we are trying to accomplish with the Build Back Better plan is not radical stuff. We are simply suggesting that maybe, just maybe, our government should invest in the long neglected needs of the working people. Cenk Uygur, CEO of TYT, we would love to host this debate on the Young Turks. We have had both Joes on TYT before. We've proven we can be cordial and respectful to both sides. We'd love to have Senator Joe Manchin and Joseph Sandberg to do a substantive debate about these economic issues they both care about. I would love to see that happen, actually. John Aderola on Twitter, he's also a TYT contributor. He was responding to a CNBC article that said Fed to ban policymakers from owning individual stocks. He said, now do Congress. 100% agree with that. You don't think that owning individual stocks in Congress is not a conflict of interest, then I don't know what you're looking at. Last one, Dr. J_3 Club says on Twitter, if anyone on earth thinks I'm just going to, quote, move on from January 6th, they need a serious checkup from the neck up. I'm still furious as hell, and the fact that I'm watching member of Congress and former government officials tell me to do that is only making it worse. I couldn't agree more. I hope everyone enjoyed the social media break of the program. When we come back, we will be closing out the show. Stay tuned, guys, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back from the break. That's going to wrap up today's show. I hope everyone enjoyed the pretty lengthy listen today. I really feel like it was necessary. I hope that I was able to shed some light on kind of what's going on within our government. I know that the TP Vibe listeners of this show are very knowledgeable, and a lot of stuff I say, I guarantee you guys already know, but I'm glad that you like hearing my voice saying these things. As I say always, I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, there wouldn't be any show. There wouldn't be a progressive vibe. So all of this is for the listeners, because it is a diverse group of people that listen to this show. It's not only Democrats listen to this for show, but there are Republicans that listen to this show. There are independents that listen to this show. And I want it to be a place of information, and I want it to be a place of morality, because we all, at the end of the day, we all want the best for ourselves, for our families, for our friends, and it's important not to get caught up in the political eye candy. And it happens to me. I mean, it's natural, that's kind of media's, this day and age is kind of mainstream media's job to kind of deflect, in some regards, what's actually going on in ordinary Americans' lives, because it's not really sexy media when we talk about what's really going on in the world. It's more sexy to talk about, this senator got mad at this senator, and behind closed doors they had a meeting and they were yelling at each other, or just that kind of stuff. We need to get beyond that, and we need to start addressing the needs of the American people, because that is where your cooperation and your cohesion of a greater, truer type of democracy that we strive for every day. And I think once we start getting beyond the kowtowing of corporations, once we get money out of politics, once we have actual politicians not wanting to just say the right things in front of the cameras and use the American people as props, but more so than actual, listening what their corporate donors tell them to do. Once we get beyond that, I feel like that greater good is going to come out within people, because we see that the country is more progressive now. Corporate politicians within our government and corporate media don't want you to know that, but it's inevitable, and it's starting to take hold slowly but surely. But we have to continue fighting the good fight. We have to continue staying informed. We have to continue to be strategic and stay organized. And I feel like, guys, we will accomplish that goal. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. Love you guys again for all that you do. Until then, stay positive, stay progressive, and we'll catch you in the next one. Love you guys. Peace.